Hi, this is Sally, and my friend has a grandson that has sprung up over the past few months, and he needs his trousers lengthened, and I'm going to show you how to do that using tape. So let's get on with it. The first thing I'm going to do with these trousers is I'm going to press the hem flat. I'm going to go from the inside rather than from the outside. I don't have this on terribly hot, and I've got a lot of steam because I really want that hem to be out of these trousers all the way around. It's going to take a little minute because that was quite pressed in there. Take your time. You don't want to do it when it's too hot, because if it's too hot you're going to put marks in there. So it's just above synthetic. Roll the tip of the iron around in circles is usually a good way to do it. And when I've done one side, I'll do the other. It's not brilliant. The rest should come out as I iron it in a while to put it back together again. It's quite important to do it. Make sure it's looking good. The seam has been pulled over into the hem. I really don't want that to be going on, so I'm going to just cut down at an angle towards the base of the seam, and then I will iron that flat. Do that on both sides of each leg. I don't want to cut the seam there, I just want to cut that fabric open that up, iron it into place. All I'm doing is pinning twill tape around the base of here, making sure that that is kept open for now, and I'll do the same on the other leg. I've removed this section so that the trouser leg can go on here. The twill has a natural line on it. I'm going to line up the outside edge of the trouser leg with the twill, and I'm going to follow this line here where the twill is woven into a V. I'm going to keep it as even as I possibly can as I go round, which is awkward because as you're going it kind of wants to pull it. Removing the pins as I go, and I'm pulling the trouser leg against the twill. Now here's the seam coming down, so I'm going to just make sure that everything is open as it should be and go across. I'm getting to the next seam, which is where I started from. Make sure that's even. Only here when I come in I'm going to make sure that that seam is still open. I'm folding this side of the twill along here and forward like that, and then that I'm going to just bring in over the top so it's nice and even. Sew across and over your stitches and remove. I'm going to repeat that on this side. There's the start of my banding. This under here like that. Make sure it's nice and even and a little bit forward, so the start of the twill is a little bit behind the foot, and sew into place, making sure those outside edges are as even as possible. Make sure that the seams are both open. As I come in, I'm going to line that up, check that the thing is open, which it is. I'm going to bring the first side forward and in line, and then the second side in over the top, just like I did on the first trouser leg. Hold everything where it is and sew over about an inch and remove. Check your seam, make sure it's nice and even, and if there are any threads that show below, like there are here, I'm going to pull those out. That's when my friend had taken down the original hem. It's easier to do this, otherwise you've got all those extra lengths of thread to pull out. Just check all the way to the end. I'm sure there's a lot more under there, but I don't want to be messing with it. I now have two nice clean seams. I've turned the trousers inside out. I've got the seam here going this way. Then I'm going to bring the tape down over the top, and I'm also going to be ironing it the same way. I want that to look nice and crisp. There's a bit of steam on there to hold it. Make your way around the trouser leg. Where the join is, start on the rough side like that and iron that into place, and then bring down the good side, which is folded over, and iron that also into place. Once that's done, do the other trouser leg so it looks nice and neat. Turn the trousers back the right way round. Fold the hem over slightly, so on the right side of the trouser you can't see any of the twill, but on the wrong side you'll see just a little bit of the trouser from the front and the twill on top. Iron that into place. This is when you burn your fingers, because you've got to be really precise about where you're putting that crease. 1/8 of an inch of the original trouser showing on this side. It's so small. I'm making my way all the way around. If they're not quite straight, they should be straight. If they're not, they're right at the bottom of his legs and nobody's really going to notice. But they will notice if he has that twill showing on the front. Ease that on round and steam it in place. And at the join here, make sure that everything is in place here too. You'll see it's a nice crisp edge on the front with a little bit of it showing there and the twill all the way around. Now do the other leg. I'm going to start at the outside leg here. There's the cut to open the seam. That over and it will hold it open. That's about even there. And then as you work your way around, if it goes out of shape, it doesn't matter too much. Open this up against itself like that and put another pin in here. It doesn't really matter which way the pins go, to be honest. And again here, put that there, and the same on this side, that in there. And then when I come to this join, pop that over the top. And again, you can see that this seam is open like it should be. Now I'm going to do the other side. I am going to start here, come up through the back so that I don't have any stitches on this side. Before I start sewing, I'm going to move this one so that I can open that up slightly. This corner here, I'm going to bring down so that it's hidden. Pull the thread through, and I'm going to go along the side of the trim and forward about 1/8. Pull that through. Then I'm going to come back here, go through the top about 1/8 of an inch too, and then back here and forward. I'm going to secure that first. Put a couple of little stitches to hold it into that side seam. Make sure you don't come through. In effect, you're casting off, but you're not going to be casting off. Bring this over the top. I'm also going to put that under because I don't want the underside of the trim to show. Line it up with the seam here, and I'm going to take my needle forward to that corner like that. Do a couple of little stitches over that corner to hold it in place. Then I have both ends of my tape secured. This side comes down a little bit further than I wanted to, but it'll be fine. I'm going to pull my stitch back and up about 1/8 of an inch and put that in there for now, just to hold it a little bit further down. So that's where my stitch came up. Put it back in to catch the twill down. Because I can't go through the 1/8 onto the other side, because if I do, I'm going to make a stitch line. I'm going to take 2 or 3 threads which span about 1/8. And you've got to be careful on this one. You really don't want to be pulling lumps through or knots through, if you can help it. And then I'm going to just come through the twill about 1/8 of an inch, and then come back to the outside of the twill and into the trouser leg. Pick up your couple of stitches and spread them out, and then pull it all the way through again. So you're doing a cross stitch all the way towards you. You know, any job that's worth doing is time consuming, and you'll find that mending things is sometimes your bread and butter projects, because people always want something mended or altered. Roll the fabric over my finger, hold the tape flat with your little bit of fabric showing here, because it might roll and then you'll see the tape on the other side. And that's why I always leave a little bit of the front fabric on the back there, so that if it does roll, it's not going to roll that far, like that. And about 1/2 inch, not more than 1/2 inch, preferably closer. I'm just going to do the stitch there like that, and again like that. They've got to be really small stitches and close together. If they're too far apart, then the twill or whatever you've used as tape will buckle. Then that causes its own problems. It sometimes gets caught on your toes as you're putting your trousers on, so you don't want that to happen. I'm just going to sew like this all the way across this hem. The stitches have to be very small, so that when you look on the front side, you don't see anything. Nothing shows at all. I still have to iron this out a little bit better, but there's nothing showing from my stitching. Because these are suit trousers, you don't want to top stitch the hem in place. I've always hand sewn these. I don't even know how to use my sewing machine to put a hem on. I'm going to do this all the way around. Keep your stitches even. And if you keep everything even, it should all stay in place. When you get to the next section, just readjust. And don't pull your stitches you're putting in too tight. It's a little bit wrinkly. That automatically happens anyway. I'm just coming in here and I'm over stitching some of the stitches I put in to start off with. Get to the center here, and then I'm going to over stitch like this about 3 times over the same stitch so it holds, and then I'm going to just thread this through the back of there about 1 inch so the tail is long. Pull it slightly and cut. Oops, there we go. And there we have a nice even hem with tape. There's some stitches from the previous hem that I'm going to pull out just to clean that up a little bit. Don't want those in there. You can see here that the hem does actually rise a little bit on the inside of the leg, but that's not going to notice because it's the inside of the leg. I'm going to steam that. That hasn't caused the seam underneath to come through. Turn that over the other way. I can see a little bit of ridging from the original hem, which I don't want. So I'll put that back over there like that and steam from this side. And I'll do exactly the same to the other trouser leg too. By putting the cotton over the synthetic fabric, you're creating a bit of a barrier so the heat isn't quite as intense as it would be if I was just to iron straight onto the synthetic fabric. There's still a little bit of mark here. I'll see if I can get that out. It's not that obvious. And when I open the inside of the trouser leg, you can see that the twill has actually settled down quite a bit. It's not so lumpy and bumpy. I'm really pleased with that, and I'm sure my friend's grandson's going to be pleased with it too. Thank you for joining me on this little project, and I do mean a little project. The hand sewing does take a while though, but it was worth it. The inside of the trouser leg I'm really quite pleased with. It looks nice and flat. I am sure that my friend and her grandson will be absolutely thrilled with the end result. You really can't see where I lengthened them. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.